Hi. So Timothy asked today what would be our favorite edition of the NRSV. What is our go-to Bible? And we're going to be reading. And for me, I have to admit, the hardest thing in the world is trying to pick one. And I can't. I can't. I think what it stems from is that while I am a fan of the NRSV, it doesn't necessarily come in the best formats, the best physical formats. And I do quite often find myself comparing the NRSV Bibles I have with really, really nice Bibles from other translations that happen to come in much nicer forms. But because of that, though, I do have quite a few NRSV Bibles, and so there are things about each one that I really like. And so what I'm going to do is just a quick series of videos where I take editions from a given publisher and then do a quick comparison of them and explain why I think that they're nice NRSV Bibles and why I use them. So I've got a whole bunch of Oxford videos here, or Oxford NRSV Bibles that I'll go through really quick. The first one is this one. Now, this is the model N814. Right, I got that right? Yeah, N814A. This is actually from the second print edition, meaning it was probably printed in 1991. So it was printed at the time in the United States. It is a genuine leather Bible. It's nothing fancy, but given that it's 25 years old at this point, the leather is actually in really good condition. I was fortunate enough to be able to get this particular copy while it was still new in shrink wrap in the box. I just got it a couple years ago, so it sat on a shelf somewhere. I like this one. The leather is not the most flexible. It's rather stiff, but then again, when open, it tends to support itself. So it holds its weight when you're reading it. Gilt edges. It originally came with two skinny little black ribbons, and I'm not a big fan of Oxford ribbons. The material is nice. I like the material, but they could do better. So in this particular case, I went in and put in some new ribbons, three nice thick black ones, excuse me, about 3/8 of an inch each. Rather long. Normally I wouldn't have done something like this, but I just kind of did it for the fun of it. What I like about the Oxford Bibles is, here, I'll open it up. Now, when it comes to the NRSV, the Oxford Bibles give you just the text. You have the title and chapter and verse number at the top to kind of orient you to where you're located. Down at the very bottom, it'll have the section heading that is probably most prominent for that page. But normally, the NRSV has section headings, of course, right above each section. Oxford got rid of that. So literally what you've got is just the text. And for people who like to have just the text, where they are not dealing with someone else's interpretation, the Oxford NRSV is really quite handy. It presents just the text, and I really do like that. The single columns on this are really pretty good. They're wide enough for comfortable reading. They're not too wide. The paper on this old edition is really good. It's a thicker paper. Not so floppy, not so thin. Feels nice. Not a texture. It's fairly smooth. And the print is bold and dark. It's uniform. The margins are nice. They're narrow margins on the outside, but then it's got a really good gutter. And that's important because I don't like reading the Bible where the text disappears into the gutter and you have to crank on the spine in order to read it. So Oxford really nails it very well in that regard. Poetry is a little bit of an issue because for whatever reason with their style, second or indented lines in poetry go so far over. And in many cases you end up with these one-word widows. It's a little sloppy. I wish it wasn't done that way. But there you go. Poetry doesn't necessarily look the best, I think, as a result. So there's that. Now, while I do have this one, I also have another Oxford, this one being in red. And they did not make very many of the red N814As. So this was a rare find. I'm really happy that I got this one. It took a couple of years of searching. Now when I got it, it was not in pristine condition, not in like new condition, but in cared for condition. Also has the Apocrypha. All the page layout is the same as the other one I just showed you. It did come with two skinny little gold ribbons. I put these blue ones in under the headband. These are Beresford ribbons. I like the blue ribbon with the red Bible. This is something that R.L. Allen does, and I think it's really attractive. So I like this. Generally speaking, between the two, the red or the black, it's hard for me to decide which one I actually prefer to use. I like the red one though because I have a compact edition of the, this is the original 1990 compact Oxford. It's better than the 1998 compact. It's not anglicized. I have a personal issue with them anglicizing the text. I don't like quite how they did it. So this is the original text. It's better also than the 2006 compact where the print quality was really quite poor. It was very faint and hard to see. But the print quality on this is nice. It's equal to that of the its larger cousins. Also, the page layout is identical, so every page in this matches up with the pages in the red and the black one that I have. So, that's nice. In this particular case, the leather, the genuine leather of this compact, is identical to the genuine leather of the larger red cousin that it has. So, it looks like a matched set. That's kind of a neat feature. I appreciate that when Oxford made these, they did make them with the mind for getting along with each other. So those are what I have for Oxford Bibles. Now, modern editions of the Oxford Bibles come in different boxes. The edition with Apocrypha is no longer in print. It's not available, but the edition that's used by Protestants is available still. Both of these were printed in Korea. They were not printed in the United States. Print quality suffered. To be perfectly honest, they did. It depends on which print run you get. The earlier print runs in Korea had just sloppy work. Some pages would be very faint. The very next page would be blotchy with so much ink that it was difficult to read. Sometimes the paper is blue. I don't know how you make a Bible with blue paper. Anyway, this is a more recent printing of just the edition without the Apocrypha, but it's 25 years on, and it's the identical text, identical layout. They haven't changed a thing. The margins are a little bit different. The bottom margin is shorter. In fact, this Bible is shorter than the other two that I've previously showed you. The genuine leather is not very good. Personally, I would consider this kind of a beater Bible. You can get these online for less than $50. Comes with two ribbons and maps and a concordance. The older editions lack the concordance. I appreciate having it, and it's one of the reasons why I still have one of the new copies instead of relying only on the old copies. Now, I did say that there was, an out-of-print edition with the Apocrypha, so I do have that also, and it's really the peer of the one that I just showed you, although, fortunately, the leather on this one is a step above. Not sure why this was good and the others were bad, but there we go. It has the Apocrypha, also has a concordance, as pointed out before. So, there we go. Generally speaking, I like these Oxford Bibles. I'm not sure I'd consider it the best, but it's the one that I seem to go to the most. It's the one that I'm most comfortable with. I do have one more Oxford NRSV, and there is a Catholic edition. Now, this is an entirely different Bible. It doesn't look the same on the inside. It uses a Berkshire leather, which is basically a higher quality pigskin. Tabbed, which, take it or leave it. I kind of like it on occasion. It's the anglicized edition of the Catholic edition of the NRSV. I can handle that. The layout is a little bit different. The columns are a tad wider. The text is imprinted as darkly. It was done in the United States, which is a plus. These were done, I think, in, sometime after 1995, 1996, sometime around then. Because the columns are wider, poetry is a little bit better. There are fewer of those one-word widows. I enjoy reading from this one more because visually it's less messy. Now, unlike the other Oxfords, this actually has section headings in the text. Now, when I said before that I appreciated the older Oxfords for not having the section headings, to be perfectly honest, more often than not, I actually want them. So I do appreciate this Catholic NRSV from Oxford for having those section headings in it and for having slightly wider columns so that the poetry sections look really nice. This came with 2 scrawny little yellow ribbons. You can see that the spine on this edition, which is old and used, is sagging a bit, but I replaced those yellow ribbons with some nice red ones. So those are the Oxford NRSVs that I have, and I think I'm going to move on to some other editions, Cambridge perhaps, HarperCollins, and we'll see what else I have in the shelf.